Stephen. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Jennifer. Pleasure to see you as usual.
Thank you. And Stephen, it's such a pleasure to be talking to you today. We've now been working together for 2 years, and how time has flown. We were really excited when we first met you because we could see that you'd be a trailblazer in the green hydrogen industry, and you have not disappointed us. It's been such a pleasure to work with you and just see how every day you just put another positive foot forward, and it's great. And what you're going to do for the green hydrogen industry, I think, will be astonishing, not only here in Australia but internationally. So what I'd like to know more about is, and I think what everyone else would like to know more about is, what motivated you to start Infinite Green Energy to begin with?
It goes back probably to 2018. Been working for the big oil and gas companies, the big global ones, and we looked into hydrogen probably many years before then, and we realised that hydrogen was going to be a future fuel for mobility. We knew that oil and gas, long term, we had to preserve it for the byproducts we needed it, and it was a fuel that we know we could use. So as a company, when I worked in one of the global oil and gas companies, we looked into it. We knew that it will have a play in the future mobility, and then we started the company back in 2018, late 18, and we got the initial concept select of what we were doing on blue hydrogen at the time. There was no colours of hydrogen, and we just moved our project forward. So we looked into some of the best areas for renewable power, and Arrowsmith was the key area for us. Previously been working in that area for an oil and gas company. It was the right decision to do. So yeah, it's taking a long time to get to where we are at this moment in time, but it's been a great 5-year journey. So
when you're first, it always takes that little bit longer, but you've been super fast in achieving what you have. Where do you see that IGE will be by 2030, Stephen? What is sort of your vision for IGE?
Our company will be recognised globally as a market leader in green hydrogen. We'll never be the same as a BP or a Shell or an ExxonMobil, but on the renewable energy transition, Northern will be up and running by late 24. Arrowsmith stages 1 and 2 will be built by 26. Expansion into international markets by 28. We'll also have our project up and running in Italy, New Zealand, and Canada. We'll also, I'm sure, we'll have other opportunities coming on board that we'll review, and we've already been requested by a large global company to create a joint venture in the Western Texas area. So I think by 2030 you'll see Infinite Green Energy as a global player in renewable energy, with at least 4 projects already built and in production.
That's awesome. And Stephen, in order to do this takes an amazing team. So tell me a little bit about the board that you brought together, which is a real strength for IGE.
Yeah, I mean, we're still a public unlisted company at this moment in time. As we grew our shareholder base, we had to look into corporate governance to become a listed organisation. We started to look for key board positions and who would be on that board just 2 years ago now, and so we started that journey looking for some key people, and the first one that we approached was Peter Coleman while he was still at his last weeks at Woodside, and eventually, after many months of discussion with Peter Coleman, we got him on board. So and that led to the other appointments with Chris Salisbury and Tim Lester. So it takes time to get the quality of these people on board, and especially someone with the qualities of Peter Coleman.
And it's just wonderful speaking to Peter and hearing the passion that he has in what he does. And someone who is a secret of your success as well is your wife, Yolanda. She plays an important role in the company too, doesn't she, Stephen?
Yeah, as the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of the company, Yolanda heads up quite a few of the business segments from the operations side as we take over the Northam Solar Farm and to become our first revenue asset. So having the team to support the operations, and then also the commercial team, which is key for the offtakes. She also does the HR segment and the media and marketing of the company. So wears multi hats in the organization, and as the company grows, that'll be streamlined, of course, but a key individual in the company and the supporting of Infinite Green Energy from day number one. So yeah, it's someone that I need to thank personally.
You had some recent news on Northam. It's a small project to begin with, but it's important. Tell us a little bit about Northam and why it's important to your overall strategy in Western Australia.
We started off with Arrowsmith and we did our first capital raise early 2020. Arrowsmith got so much interest in the expansion, and then also we started to have some of the big global companies looking into Infinite Green Energy, and we then realized that the asset that we were actually developing had a lot more potential than what we initially thought. It meant it was going to create subsequent delays on the Arrowsmith project, especially for EPA getting the environmental and planning approval. The board decided that we needed to look at an alternative project to make that commitment to our shareholders. So we looked at 6 renewable facilities around Western Australia. We narrowed it down to which one was the best location for us to deliver first hydrogen to the market, and Northam Solar Farm was that opportunity. So we started to discuss with Indigenous Business Australia and Bukija, and we then progressed that project forward. We're almost finished all of the engineering. We're moving into detailed design. We've got our partners on the board now, and we're moving to financial closure and EPC, and target to get that facility delivering first hydrogen for late 2024. So it was a great decision by the board to fast track a second project in WA.
And it was awesome to hear about the debt funding deal coming through earlier this year, and also your partnership with Samsung. What will they bring to the Northern project, Stephen?
It's always good to have access to funds. Being a startup, you realise that every dollar counts, and we know how to count every dollar of this company. So, so access to debt financing. We worked diligently with the UK Export Finance that supported us from Arrowsmith when we got initially $250 million for as a ECA from the British government, and then that moved into Northam, where we applied for $75 million. It takes some time, and we achieved that as an expression of interest. We're now progressing that debt financing for the project, and that comes with a few qualifications where we've got to push 20% of the funds back to the UK for purchase orders and job creation. So and again, $75 million, it's only $15 million to come back to the manufacturing. So that can be easily done with some of the procurement and the services that we need for Northam. What does Samsung do for us? Samsung brings credibility to Infinite Green Energy. Being a standalone small company, you're always going to get there, but it'll take time. But having a large global brand company that is well recognized behind you, things just happen, and we see that now with we've been very successful in some government grants, government support. The Samsung name and brand will help us grow this company, and not just on Northam, on other and future projects that's in the pipeline and in the making. So that's a key for us, that we're no longer working on our own to deliver our projects. It takes a lot of pressure off of the founders of the company as well.
Absolutely, and Samsung, I think they're smart to come on board. It is going to be hard to find good quality projects in this space, because what we're seeing is there's a lot more demand than supply that will be available. So it is a good opportunity for investors to get involved. And with your Arrowsmith project, Stephen, what I've always loved about that is just how attractive it is as a site for green hydrogen. Do you want to explain why it is the case?
Arrowsmith's a well sought after area now, especially in the Perth Basin, with all the recent announcements in the traditional oil and gas sector, plus what we're doing at Infinite Green. So a key is the land. It's freehold land. It's been disturbed. It doesn't come with the same native titles, so it's easier to develop. It's in an area of the best solar irradiation and wind in the world, so we've got some fantastic renewable power. We're 700 meters from the ocean, so it allows us to expand for international. We also sit next to two major highways, the Brand Highway and Indian Ocean Drive. We've got the main railway line from north to south. We've got two major pipelines with the Dampier to Bunbury pipeline, which is the second largest in the world, and we've also got the Permila gas pipeline. So it's access to all of the major infrastructure. Because it's also very close to Perth, we don't have the same issues with fly-in, fly-out workforces. So we have access to the local talent from Perth, Dongra, and also Geraldton. So it also makes the construction costs a lot easier. And also when the plant comes online, we can actually leverage the local people to look after the long-term maintenance of the facility without having the demand for people flying in and out on aeroplanes.
Yeah, it's quite incredible. It ticks every box, doesn't it? But that was probably your foresight in identifying the sites early before anyone was even looking for green hydrogen, Stephen. Do you know what I do love about your story is how you initially marketed yourself as Infinite Blue Energy. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that story and why you actually transitioned?
We actually owned Infinite Green Energy. That was going to be our future plan down the road in another 2 years' time. So that was planned to be utilised in 2025. When we first built the company, there was no cause of hydrogen. We were looking to use the water and seawater as well, so everyone associates water as blue, so that's where the name came from. Because you're using the water from the sea, it's never going to run out, so that's where the Infinite Tech came from. One of the main drivers for changing the name was the marketing by our competitors, who were actually considering us as a blue hydrogen company just because of our name, and also some of our investors, as we were talking to some investors, they initially thought we were a blue hydrogen company just because of the name. So we then realized that early 2022 we had to change the company name, so people realized from the name of the company and the brand, this is what we did. So we decided to change the company name, bring Infinite Green Energy forward by 2 years, and that was all done and completed by end of May 2022. So it's important as we grow this company is to make sure people understand the brand and our DNA, and that change has been very successful, and get the company rebranded and launched.
One thing I really love is the story of what your plans are for Western Australia, particularly stage 1 of your 4-stage Arrowsmith project. What is your vision for stage 1, and what is the benefit for Western Australia?
It starts off with, to be honest, Northam. So Northam's a 4-ton-a-day project, and we've got so much demand for Northam that Arrowsmith is going to do the top up. It's 23 tons a day, targeting the heavy haul market. So an example, you've got some of the big fleet companies here. They have over 3,000 trucks, and they change out 10% of these trucks every year. So Arrowsmith's a key target for the big trucking companies, and there's many here in WA. So one year of our production just covers 250 trucks. So what we're doing is we're targeting these big heavy haul companies with thousands of trucks, and targeting a network that these trucks go on from Perth to Port Hedland and back, and Perth to the Carnarvon Basin and back. So that's the two main arteries that we're targeting. And one of the main reasons why the Perth to Carnarvon is key There's a lot of mine sites, small towns and villages up Perth to Carnarvon. All the food that goes to all of these towns needs to come from Perth on trucks. So if we target that initial trucks, the refrigerated trucks, double trailers, that will consume a good 30% of Arrowsmith hydrogen just on one run. And the other artery is the Perth to Port Hedland, and that's the key for us. So stage one will further develop the northern project, and then we expand to Arrowsmith International, going up to the stages 3 and 4. That's where we're targeting adding almost 250 tons a day of green hydrogen, expanding the entire facility that we've got to 700 megawatts of electrolyzer, a large battery, 250 megawatts of battery on site as well, and that's all targeting Asia Pacific markets. The buyers we're currently talking to are Japanese and Singaporean and South Korean, and we're working with our partners to currently pool the offtake together, and targeting Arrowsmith to come online late 2027, early 2028, and delivering green fuels to the market. So we're already kicking Arrowsmith 3 and 4 off to start the engineering, including the subsea pipelines and terminal.
And a question some people have, Stephen, is why have you gone down the path of liquefied hydrogen rather than ammonia, which some other companies are going down a different pathway? Why did you make that decision?
I don't think people understand liquid hydrogen enough is probably the simplest answer. Ammonia has been around for hundreds of years, and it's well understood. It's a commodity. It's well traded globally today. The vessels exist, and where liquid hydrogen doesn't. So everyone knows about LNG and the vessels that take LNG all around the world, and LNG to LH2 is just a stepping stone for us. Our background is LNG and the traditional crude and gas that we know today. We're just taking the temperature of minus 153 to minus 253. It's different technology, concepts very similar, and so we spent almost 3 years now looking at the subsea pipeline as design. We completed the design for Arrowsmith subsea pipeline 2022. This year, the actual materials, the special pipe, is going to the Ariane Space Center in Paris to be tested and qualified this year. So that's a key next stepping stone to developing the liquid hydrogen market at scale. So vessels, we've also spent some considerable time on the vessels. A hull is a hull. The secret is the storage tank that goes in the hull that transports the liquid hydrogen. So that's been well understood for almost 2 years. We've been working with some key partners and coming up with the design that was initially tested and accepted by Lloyd's of London in 2021. So again, we're well down the route from transportation, the vessels. We've done the mapping of the subsea pipeline, and this year we're going to be testing at the Ariane Space Center, where they test all the liquid hydrogen engines that take all the spaceships to the moon. So that's what we're doing this year. So it's a lot of work happening this year, and a lot of expenditure as usual.
I think anyone that's listening to you at the moment, Stephen, can see why you have so many people coming to you to partner with you in the green hydrogen space, why you're expanding so quickly. And you're a great person to work with, as we know, having worked with you for the last 2 years. We really wish you all the best with your journey. It is just one small step with what's happened at Northam, but it is a huge leap forward for Australia and the transition to net carbon zero. And keep doing all your good work, because we need you, and we need you to help us down that pathway. So thank you, Stephen.
Thank you for your kind words, Jennifer. You've been supporting Infinite Green and Infinite Blue Energy for over 2 years. The work that you've done, and it's not just yourself, your team that's helped position where we are today. Without Frontier Impact and your partners have done, we wouldn't have been here today as well. So thank you from the founders and co-founders of Infinite Green Energy. Thank you.
It's been a real honour. Thank you so much, Stephen.